everybody. It's your girl Miracle Sims, and you are listening to God, Sex, and Love, your daily dose of inspiration and juice. It is June the 3rd, 2021, and today the topic is perfection. Oh man. Well, I guess I feel like, I don't even know how I feel at the moment. I can't even describe it. I don't even know. But anywho, I'm alive and well. All is well. I'm trying to remember what I did yesterday. Just working on different little tasks, trying to get some more interviews, to be interviewed, some little networking things, trying to work on marketing stuff, uploaded some episodes of GSL for the future. That's pretty much what yesterday, man. Or, on top of mom stuff. But that's pretty much what my day looked like yesterday. Woke up this morning. I want to say I woke up a little bit early, but I didn't take notice of the time. So yeah, when my alarm went off, I was already kind of up. So I came on in here, did my full routine. You know how that go. Did my prayer meditation. It was a little bit distracted. I'm gonna be honest. I was a little bit distracted during prayer meditation, but at the same time, it was a good one because it was talking about like your heart and whatnot, and how pretty much whatever you say comes from the heart, X, Y, and Z. So, I decided to try to be focused, X, Y, and Z. So after it got done, I was like, okay, focus. And the word that came to my mind was perfection. So when I look up perfection, this is what the definition says, at least the first definition. It says, the condition, state, or quality of being free or as free as possible from all flaws or defects. Now, the interesting thing is, as I scrolled on Google, you know how sometimes they have those questions that, I guess, generally asked questions or maybe even frequently asked questions. So, surprisingly enough, as I scrolled, I saw, the biblical definition of perfection as one of those. And so I decided to take a look. And that said, translated from the word that means brought to its end, finished, lacking nothing necessary to completeness. So, I was just kind of, like I said, there was several definitions for perfection. I'm just sharing with you guys the first one. So, by reading that and then also reading the biblical definition of perfect, I just, again, found it interesting that, what's the same, what's different, that type of thing. But as I started to look up verses, I came across, one of the first verses I came across was Ecclesiastes 7:20. It says, surely there is not a righteous man on earth who does good and never sins. So obviously I decided to go deeper now. What I did not expect was to go so deep. I'm talking about, so hey, the go deeper section for today is as follows. Ecclesiastes 7. Ecclesiastes 8, Ecclesiastes 9, Ecclesiastes 10, Ecclesiastes 11, Ecclesiastes 12. Yes, in its entirety. No, that is the go deeper section for today. Because that's what I read. But the interesting thing is, there were things that stood out to me, which is usually what I would do, right? Share with you guys what stood out to me. But, ironically enough, in Ecclesiastes 12, this is what stood out enough for me to write it down to share with you all this morning. And it was Ecclesiastes 12, 13, and 14. It says, let us hear the conclusion of the whole duty of man. For God shall bring every work into judgment with every secret thing, whether it be good or whether it be evil. Y'all. When it comes to this word of perfection, right, I think one of the first things that we wonder is like, and it was also in the little section that I was telling you all about, the question of like, is God calling us to perfection? Is God calling Christians to be perfect? even though the word says there's nobody that's perfect, right? Well, there was no other than Jesus. There's nobody no man that does good and never sins, and therefore, meaning none of us are perfect. Y'all, I don't know. Like I said, maybe I went too deep today. I don't know, but I mean, I'm sharing with you guys that Go Deeper section as well, because it was good to reflect on what it was saying about wisdom and everything being vanity. So, yeah, that's pretty much like a lot of what those verses were reiterating, or those chapters or those books or whatever the case is. But yeah, this question of perfection and knowing that none of us are perfect. What does that mean, right? Like what do we do with that? Whew. I can't sit here and act like I got an answer. I don't know. But again, that's what stood out to me this morning, so that's why I'm sharing. Now, another verse that stood out was 1 John 2:5. It says, "But whoever keeps his word, in him truly the love of God is perfected. By this we may know that we are in him." So there you go. I mean, none of us are perfect. So we've already established that. However, if we want to see the love of God perfected in us, it says we need to be keeping his word, and that's how we know. For me, this kind of all ties in together. It ties in with the prayer meditation in regards to, looking back at the heart, and to know whether something, whether the man is evil or good, by the things that they say, and ultimately what shows what's in their hearts. It's deep. I feel like this is a deep subject right now. So, it's not like a one-time juice sit here and really. I feel like the whole thing is deeper than just reading these verses this morning. Again, you guys got to reflect on this on your own. Again, by all means, check out these chapters and let them marinate on your heart, souls, and minds. However, here's something to let marinate too while you marinating today. It's 1 John 5:18. It says, "We know that everyone who has been born of God does not keep on sinning, but he who was born of God protects him, and the evil one does not touch him." I'm just telling y'all that stood out to me as well in this search of perfection and these verses. That's a whole nother level. That's going even deeper into, I don't even know. That could touch on so many things. Hey, I was even convicted as writing, as I wrote this, because as I shared with you all yesterday, that, I feel like I'm falling short in areas and things as well. And, Lord knows I don't want to be out here sinning, you know what I mean? And I don't want to keep on sinning or whatever the case is. Things like that. And, I know we can all pull the card where God knows my heart, right? You're right. He do know, right? He do know. And so that's the thing. It's like, man. I don't know, y'all. I don't know. Because like I said, this is just so many things can be touched on by these verses right here. Even that last verse. It's just, what I hope and pray is that anybody that listens to the sound of my voice, whether you seeing me on this live or whether you are, listening to this podcast, I hope that you guys let these verses marinate, reflect on them, see what the Lord is telling you about you, not about nobody else, about you. Because at the end of the day, let's say we got to work out our own salvation with fear and trembling, right? So, yeah, we can always point the finger at where somebody else is falling short. But at the end of the day, are you looking at yourself? Are you looking at what they say, the man in the mirror? Because, yeah, I mean, again, like I said, as I wrote this verse, that last verse I just shared with you guys, I had to think about me. I had to be like, is this talking about me? Like, am I falling short to the point where I'm sinning? Am I going on sinning by the things that I do, say, whatever the case is? Like, or is my heart, is my heart good? Because all those things, y'all. And I mean, I don't have any of those verses in here, so I hate to try to quote verses that I don't fully remember, and I don't remember what to tell you guys. But I know I've told you guys in the past about some of these verses in regards to, God saying that we need to be perfect as our God is perfect, things like that. I mean, that could sound familiar to some of you all. You all may know. I mean, you should be able to take that right there and find it. At least why things are still Googleable and everything like that. But again, I guess at the end of the day, the focus is, okay, our God is perfect. We're not perfect. We'll never be perfect. So that's why we need God. And, according to the Bible, the way to God is Jesus. And, yeah. And that's it. That's it. So when it comes to this, idea of perfection, when it comes to having wisdom, when it comes to your heart and all these things, and they say, out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. And so, what are you saying? What are you doing? Does that reflect God? These are all questions that we should ask ourselves. At the end of the day, I'm not trying to, point no fingers at nobody. I'm pointing fingers at me. I'm asking myself this today. And again, if you listen to the side of my voice, then I hope that you are asking yourself that as well. And, because I feel like at the end of the day, the more of us that allow God, His Word, the Bible to transform us into who He wants us to be, then the better our world will be. Now we know how it's going to end and all that stuff according to the words. Obviously that's not going to happen. But what I'm saying is, I guess as many of us that can be saved as possible, to acknowledge God and to, acknowledge His will and way, then, again, I guess the more the better in that aspect. But check this out, y'all. Here's the Bible verses today. It's Revelations 3:20. It says, "Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If any man hear my voice and open the door, I will come into him and will sup with him and he with me." Friends, I hope you all enjoyed this juice this morning. Thank you so much for listening to God, Sex, and Love, your daily dose of inspiration, the juice. Pray you guys can go forth and have a wonderful day, and I look forward to talking to you all tomorrow if the Lord's will. Just a heads up, y'all know what I'm about to tell you. It is Thursday. That means tomorrow is Friday. That means we have an episode of GSL, the talk show schedule. As I showed you guys the other day, what is planned is a live episode with Big Talk, Big Game. Yes, the gentlemen of Big Talk, Big Game, the podcast. 3 gentlemen that are going to be chit-chatting with your girl. Hey, it seems like it's a whole male perspective situation, because that's usually how it is, me with a bunch of men listening to them talk. But obviously, I'm sure these gentlemen are going to share about their podcast and what they have going on. But I expect that it should be a good time. I know 2 of the gentlemen personally, and they both have great personalities and whatnot. So, I'm looking forward to this conversation. I'm sure it's going to be great. So you guys can go ahead and hit the notification bells on the YouTube and on our Facebook and all that stuff to prayerfully, like I say, now I can't control what happens with guests. If guests say they got to reschedule or whatever the case is, that ain't me. That's the guest now. But that is the plan, to go live with these gentlemen tomorrow at 7 p.m. Big talk, big game. So that's what's going on with that. Friends, I hope you all enjoyed this juice. Look forward to talking to you all tomorrow with the Lord's will. Bye-bye. Have you heard of John Gifter? Well, he is the author of Unveil Your Purpose, a #1 newly released bestseller on Amazon. He's also the host of Fuel for the Soul with John Gifter, one of the top 5 Christian podcasts in India. You can check him out at johngifter.com. That's JOHNGIFTAH.com.